Hey everybody, Matthew here, VIP Financial Education President, and here on our YouTube channel, VIP Financial Ed, we teach people unique ways of banking where you can make the most of your cash flow and get access to seemingly unlimited amounts of capital and really just have perfect credit. Today is a very special day because I get asked all the time, I need more information regarding debt weapons. So this video is all about debt weapons. You don't want to miss it. Stick around. Hey everybody, Matthew Pillmore here, and today is a very special training. We're going to talk about debt weapons, get a little bit more specific, and then we're going to place 2 phone calls here today with our good friend, Mr. Ryan Healy. Tremendous success story, somebody that's following the 3 steps that we teach about and has already managed to eliminate 100% of his outstanding debts, including all of his student loans, significant truck payment, and his revolving balances. And he's now been relying on debt weapons to exponentially grow multiple businesses. So we're continuing down that path. We want to invite you to come along and just place a couple phone calls. Now, before we get to the calls, there are 3 very important things that you have to know regarding debt weapons. Number 1, we're never ever done adding more. So the goal is to perpetually increase your availability of capital by having access to more money. People like you, entrepreneurs like Ryan, real estate investors and entrepreneurs like myself, or just basic W-2 wage earners who own a home can advance themselves financially by leaps and bounds. And therefore, there is no such thing as having access to too much money. The second point that you have to know is within that range, we need to be targeting in excess of $25,000 each year per household of availability. So that number is again $25,000. The number can be as high as $250,000 every year, and in some rare anomaly cases, we do see that number of $250,000 exceeded as well. So again, make sure that you understand, most importantly, the boundaries with which to identify and then acquire the debt weapons so that we're getting access to the right ones and we're doing so safely. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. The third important thing to know about debt weapons is that there are thousands of different types. So when individuals or audience members of our trainings come to us and ask, well, what is the best debt weapon for me? The answer really is, it depends. As much as that answer really sucks to get, the truth is that there are 4 main questions that need to be answered in order to make sure that you're properly identifying the right debt weapon. So let's go through those 4 questions. We're then going to be using what we call a debt weapon questionnaire. I've got that on my computer. I'm going to open that up. And we're going to use that during our phone call. But in order to identify the right debt weapons, which we empower people like Ryan to do, all of our coaching members and students are taught through the relationship how to access the right debt weapon at the right time. In order to do that, we start with these 4 questions. The first is, what will it be used for? We're going to be seeking a different debt weapon if we're investing in real estate, for example, than if we want to eliminate our debts very quickly. And it would be an entirely different debt weapon if we're looking at having access to emergency reserves. So it's very important to first start with the purpose, much like you would a motor vehicle. Say, where do we want to come from and go to? And what is the best mode of transportation to get there? And ultimately, we pair the right motor vehicle with that purpose. Same thing with our finances. It's the financial equivalent. The second thing that we are able to do with that information is identify, okay, which vehicle then is best? Which debt weapon is best for that purpose? And that leads us to who's providing it. So where do we get access to that next debt weapon is the third question that needs answering. Fourth and final is, when do we apply? And the reason that we're so careful about the timing with which we apply for debt weapons is our credit is always impacted when we submit an application. So we have to be careful about incurring hard inquiries, which can have a negative impact not just on our scores, but also in our general underwriting credit profile. So we want to make sure that we're always very sensitive to the frequency with which we're moving. It's a careful balance between aggression and safety, and this is why we're so strong in our recommendation of getting access to your 1 free coaching session if you have not done that so far, so that we can continue to make sure that you have the proper guidance that you need. So with that in mind, I want to just ask Ryan you 1 question, and then we're going to go ahead and place a quick call just so you can kind of see how our conversations might go. There's a lot more to this, and every single person has a completely different roadmap. Every single person has a completely different collection of debt weapons. So please don't try to follow Ryan's plan. It won't work for you. With that in mind, Ryan, I had a quick question for you, which is, tell me a little bit about what you feel debt weapons have been able to do for you so far. on your path to debt freedom as well as expanding your business and what you're hoping they can do for you moving forward?
Basically, they've just allowed me to leverage finances when I need it. We have a couple periods during the year where we do heavy hiring, where some of our clients, specifically with the business side, they might have a net 45, net 60, which means how long after we do the job do we get paid. And 2 months later, that's a lot to float the labor side of things. But to be professional and to get those kind of larger commercial accounts, we have to do that. It's just how the game is played with some of these big, especially city contracts. So what we've used is these debt weapons where we take the money and I can continue to pay my staff's labor, materials that we might need, and then leverage for a big payday at the end when we do land these contracts and know that cities will, or the commercial side will be paying for it. So that's been very successful. Just on the personal side of things, just really taking a hard look at my accounts and realizing even the low APR that I was paying on some of my student loans, I hadn't realized that after 12 years, I really had been paying quite a bit of interest. The importance of kind of getting those paid off and then being able to have, now that I had all those bills that I was used to every month that I was having to pay, I'm able to take that extra money and leverage it into other things like a Roth IRA and a few other traditional means of, financial diversity. It's been very good so far and excited to learn more and jump in. And
so let's go ahead and place a quick phone call. Keep in mind that what we're doing today is just ask questions in advance of getting and completing the application for the debt weapon. So this is the first step in this process. And from here, we'll have email over the application. Assuming that the details that we ask meet our needs, we'll either complete an application here or we'll pursue an application through a different institution for a similar type of debt weapon. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So I'm sitting here with Mr. Ryan Healy. He's a coaching member of ours.
Okay.
And I was explaining to him the process of the tool that I accessed through your branch and wanted to kind of get some details from you if I could. And really some of this conversation is mostly for educational purposes for him. I'm just trying to familiarize him with some of the terminology that's used on your end of things. So
Sure.
I do know some of these answers, but I would be curious about updates as well, okay?
Sure.
I'm really wanting to get him his own commercial account, similar to the one that I accessed personally.
Okay.
The revolving commercial side. What is the minimum credit score that you guys are looking at right now on that one?
Right now, probably about a 680.
You guys still expect the personal guarantee, of course, right?
Right.
Do you know which bureaus you guys are using right now for your approval decision?
On the consumer side, I know we use only Equifax.
Okay.
So I would assume it'd be the same.
Great. This doesn't apply to him, but just for my own personal knowledge, do you guys have any certain restrictions as far as bankruptcies, any type of short sales or foreclosures on credit reports? Do you have restrictions because of that?
Well, those are some of the things that I have seen on the consumer side, and the commercial side, kind of kill the deal. Anything mortgage related can be a big hindrance if there's short sales or defaults, foreclosures, that kind of thing. Bankruptcies I've been able to get through, but it's a little bit more difficult because these are unsecured lines of credit. So most difficult ones to get, that's why they require a 680 or better and pretty clean credit.
Give me the scale with which you guys determine your doc type. I know when I pursued access to mine, we went with a smaller loan size, which made it really just kind of fly through really easily. It was stated income. Can you tell me what your doc expectations are on this at this point?
Yeah, anything under 50,000 is just going to be credit related, credit score based. So two things to keep in mind is, if we can stay under 50,000, if that would be good for you, that's the easiest, most streamlined. The other thing we got to keep in mind is that the line limit is determined, we use as a guide 10% of your sales revenues over the last 12 months.
Okay, so it's 10% gross revenues?
Right.
What type of relationship do you guys normally expect your borrower to have with you previous, if any?
Nothing expected. We want to grow as many business accounts and things like that as we can, but I do have some that just have the line of credit. In those cases, they have to call me if they want to advance on it. It's a lot easier to have an account where you can move funds back and forth.
Exactly.
We have one business account. It's a basic account, $2,500 balance, and it avoids the fee. I want to say the fee's $5. Even if you can't keep that, it's still worth it just for the ease of moving the money.
Do you have a debt to income ratio requirement on this? A maximum?
Well, really haven't seen that too much. It's, they kind of use the 10% of the sales revenues. If it is a debt ratio way out of line, I've seen some, about mid-40s, I would guess. I would probably keep that in mind.
As far as, utilizing one of the accounts there, that offers check writing capabilities as well with this account. I know that I've accessed funds from my account with ease. So I'm assuming just from the electronic transfer standpoint that you had mentioned previously, that having that account opened helps with that, correct? Makes everything easier.
It does. Moving the money from the line of credit to the checking account, it gives you check writing access, debit card access, bill pay access, all those kinds of things.
And then do they dip into that for overdraft protection if there's an extension beyond the balance in checking?
We have an overdraft line specifically for that. I would have to look and see if, I don't know why we wouldn't be able to link that as overdraft protection, but that's something I would have to look into.
There aren't any fees with this specific account for balance transfers, right? It's all with ease and completely free of charge.
Right. There's no balance transfer fees or anything like that.
Okay. What about an annual fee on this one? What's the annual fee? Is it $100 or $150?
Yeah, it's $150 for under $50,000. If we go over $50,000, it could be anywhere from $250 to $1,000, upwards of a $500,000 line of credit. So I think for most of the purposes, most of the time your clients, we've stayed under the $50,000.
Right. Just for simplicity purposes, exactly.
Right. Yep,
okay. And do you have any restrictions on number of checks that would be allowed on this in a month?
No. You could move money back and forth as often as you like.
Great. So essentially it's same as cash.
Right.
What are your turn times right now?
Turn times, I think the last one I got done for you was 24 hours, maybe 48 hours.
Outstanding.
For a turn time.
I'm going to give you my email address. Can you just send me the loan application so that I have one on file, make it easier on future referrals for you as well, and then I'll go ahead and forward that directly to Ryan?
Oh, absolutely.
Expect the application from him. He can just go ahead and email this back over to you, right? Or fax it so we can get the loan in underwriting. And are you still doing off-site closings?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so you can just come to him?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'll make it easy.
Hey, we really appreciate you. Thanks so much for everything, and also for your help on mine, too.
I always appreciate the opportunity with you, Matt, so thank you very much.
Not a problem, my friend. All right, we'll get this stuff over to you. Let me know if you need anything else, okay?
And I'll get that out to you today.
Perfect. Chat with you again soon.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Bye-bye. All right, so as you can see, we go through a series of questions. We want to know our basic details well in advance of submitting an application, because the worst case scenario is, of course, completing an application, submitting it into underwriting, only to get a response that the application's declined and you've ended up with an inquiry on the credit, which is going to bring the scores down. So what would be the ideal amount of money for you to get approved for on this?
Ideally, anywhere between 40 and 50 would be great. Obviously, pushing towards the max that we could get.
Okay. Now, my recommendation for Ryan is going to be to apply for less than the maximum end, usually going in and saying, I want 50 when the maximum is 50. Decreases the likelihood of approval. So again, we want to stack the odds in our favor anywhere possible. My personal decision when I went forward with the specific debt weapon was to apply for 35, of which I was approved for 33. Came in about 48 hours. We do have another video on YouTube. So make sure if you haven't checked that out already, go through and sort through our videos. There's a lot of information to learn. We're going to continue to bring you fresh content. We'll update you on Ryan's progress when we get a decision on this specific debt weapon. But thanks a lot for walking with us through this particular part of getting access to your very own debt weapons. And as I'd mentioned before, if you haven't already, make sure you visit freecoachingcalendar.com to set up your very own one-on-one custom phone implementation coaching session. And this is an exclusive consultation. It's a courtesy from us to you, a gift. Please make sure you take advantage of it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you're notified of all videos coming out. In order to get alerts anytime we update new videos, you're gonna have to make sure and select the bell when you subscribe. Like and share the content of these videos, and we'll see you on the next one.